Hello and welcome to Midday Report here on TVP World. I'm Marie Cato. The Polish Parliament has gathered today for its make or break session. The main item on the agenda is the confidence vote for Prime Minister Donald Tusk's government. The vote was called by the Prime Minister himself following the narrow defeat of his ally Rafał Trzaskowski in the recent presidential election to opposition-backed candidate Karol Nawrocki. We now head to the Polish Parliament where our correspondent Ovidiusz Nicieja is standing by. Good afternoon, Ovidiusz. What time is the vote of confidence taking place and what is the current expected outcome?
Well, the confidence vote was originally planned to take place at around 2 p.m. About now, however, the discussion is still ongoing. We're still waiting for that vote, which could happen at any time. What's expected is the survival of this vote, that this vote will be approved, that Tusk will continue to govern, because the leaders of the ruling coalition have agreed to continue. However, leaders of the coalition parties are assertive. They want to follow through on their election promises, and so there is an increasing pressure on Donald Tusk and also from the opposition to deliver. We have seen many speeches throughout the day criticizing what the opposition sees as inaction of the government. The government has said that they have followed through on many promises, including the strengthening of Poland's border, lowering illegal migration, raises for teachers, and so on and so on. So there is talk that they want to have a new spokesperson of the government to be able to communicate all of these successes to the voters. I have asked some MPs from the Polish Parliament what the government should do, and they have said that they should focus on their priorities, on lowering the costs of living, on social programs, and focus on their work, not focusing on the president, because it is expected that the president might want to veto more legislation than the incumbent. However, it's not clear how this cooperation between the Prime Minister, the government, and the president will look like. The Polish Prime Minister has said that he has plans in either of these scenarios, whether it will be a constructive or destructive cohabitation. So it remains to be seen. That make or break vote is expected to happen at any time. So Poland holds its breath and waits for this outcome.
Okay, many thanks for those details. We await further details throughout the day. That was Ovidiusz Nicieja reporting live from the Polish Parliament. One of the victims of Tuesday's deadly school shooting in Graz was a Polish national. Authorities have confirmed amongst the 12 people hospitalized, one of them is still in critical condition. The Polish victim was a student at the school where the 21-year-old man opened fire, killing 9 people on the spot. After the massacre, the perpetrator killed himself in one of the school's bathrooms. One more victim died in hospital, taking the death toll of the tragedy to 11. The police found an explosive device at the home of the shooter, who was a former student at the school. Austria is holding a 3-day mourning period starting on Wednesday to commemorate what Austrian Chancellor Christian Stocker called a dark day in the history of the country. Another night, another wanton attack on Ukrainian civilians by Russian forces. This time, Ukraine's second biggest city, Kharkiv, has been hit the hardest, killing 3 people and injuring at least 64, including 5 children.
At least 17 Russian drones found their way through the city's air defenses. Local officials in Kharkiv have reported drone strikes on residential buildings, businesses, playgrounds and public transport. Kharkiv has been one of Russia's main targets in recent days. Before the full-scale invasion, the city, which is only 30 kilometers from the Russian border, was home to over 1.4 million people. The strike follows recent massive attacks on major cities, including the capital Kiev on Tuesday.
The bodies of 1,212 fallen Ukrainian soldiers killed by Russian forces during the war have been repatriated. The Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War posted images of the operation on Telegram. The agency said the fallen soldiers had served in the Kursk, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson regions. It follows a similar large-scale repatriation of the remains last month, in which 909 bodies of fallen service personnel were returned to Ukraine. America's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has released a video on social media warning that the world is closer than ever to nuclear war. Without providing details, she claimed political elites and what she called warmongers are stirring global tensions.
A single nuclear weapon today could kill millions in just minutes. Just one of these nuclear bombs would vaporize everything at its core: people, buildings, life itself. The shockwave would crush structures miles away, killing and maiming countless people. And then comes the fallout. Radioactive poison spreading through the air, water, and soil, condemning survivors to agonizing deaths or lifelong suffering. A nuclear winter could follow, with smoke and ash completely blocking the sun, plunging the world into darkness and cold, killing crops and starving billions. Acid rain would scar the earth, wiping out entire ecosystems. This isn't some made-up science fiction story. This is the reality of what's at stake, what we are facing now. Because as we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. Perhaps it's because they are confident that they will have access to nuclear shelters for themselves and for their families that regular people won't have access to.
Authorities in Russia have detained an opposition politician and accused him of discrediting the Russian armed forces after comments he made about a ceasefire in Ukraine were posted online. Last year, Lev Schlossberg was fined 30,000 rubles for reposting a pacifist appeal by Arnold Schwarzenegger. In January, Schlossberg was accused of being a foreign agent under Russian law and ordered not to leave the country. Local media report that if convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison. The European Commission is certain that member states such as Slovakia won't thwart the EU's 18th sanctions package aimed at hurting Russia for its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. The proposal comes after Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico threatened to derail negotiations due to claims of an impending energy crisis. We are now joined live by our EU correspondent Angela Skujins in Brussels. Good afternoon, Angela. What did Fico say, and is there any credence to it?
Yes, so after European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the EU's top foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas outlined the contours of the 18th sanctions package, which targets Russian energy sectors as well as financial institutions, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico posted on Facebook that he would not support the 18th sanctions package unless a real solution can be found to an impending energy crisis. This is what he claims, which will come from the EU's grand plans to phase out all Russian energy by 2027. Now, the European Commission outlined these plans in May, stating that member states have until the end of the year to submit their plans of how they're going to exit Russian energy. This includes oil, gas, as well as nuclear over the next couple of years. Now, we asked the European Commission spokesperson's service at a press conference this afternoon what it had to say regarding these claims. Let's take a listen to what that chief spokesperson Paula Pinho said in response.
Since the war started, we've been working very closely with all member states precisely to gradually phase out the imports of fossil fuels from Russia, with success so far, and we should have soon another piece of this puzzle with the proposal for a legislation which should then materialize also this step.
Now, it's really important to note that since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the EU has significantly scaled back its Russian imports, particularly gas. Those figures were at roughly 45% in 2021, scaled back to 19%. Despite this, both Bratislava and Budapest have claimed that the full phase out of Russian energy will cause energy prices to skyrocket. Families will endure blackouts, but many critics understand this to be merely a smokescreen for those countries to continue supporting Russian President Vladimir Putin, continuing their threats of torpedoing the rollover and new sanctions against that country for its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. But the conversation is not over. Member states on Monday at an Energy Council will give their feedback to the European Commission. We also know that Energy Commissioner Dan Jorgensen has been holding back-to-back meetings with member states regarding how they're going to be impacted by this proposal. But what is clear is that a circuit breaker really is needed, perhaps not to the energy crisis which these countries are claiming for, but to find unity for the rollover and the imposition of these new sanctions against Russia. But that's all from Brussels. I'll send it back to you in Warsaw.
Angela Skoujas, many thanks for that update. Angela, our EU correspondent, reporting from Brussels. A delegation from Mothers of Srebrenica, an organisation that commemorates the victims of the 1995 Srebrenica massacre, has met with Slovenian officials. The meeting was intended as a show of support for the citizens of Gaza.
During the meeting, the president of the Slovenian National Assembly said that Europe is still silent today as we once again watch genocide, an act which should be described using the exact word, genocide. We watch it every day in Gaza, and Europe, for the most part, remains silent. In the opinion of the president, there is a parallel between the current situation in Gaza and the Srebrenica massacre, an act of genocide committed by the Bosnian Serbs on 8,000 Bosnian Muslims 30 years ago. What is unforgivable is that Europe remained silent in 1995 when this was happening, and Europe is still silent today as we once again witness genocide, an act which should be described using the true name word genocide. We see it unfold every day in Gaza, and Europe, for the most part, remains silent. I am very proud that the Republic of Slovenia is piecing this thread and calling these acts what they are, genocide.
And now on to some space news. TVP World Sonia Gatabiszczan reports that the delay in the Axiom 4 space mission, whose crew includes Polish astronaut Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, was due to a liquid oxygen leak discovered during booster inspections, requiring urgent repairs. The mission, which currently has all approvals for launch until June 15th, is expected to be rescheduled, with NASA indicating that the deadline may be extended.
The current delay is due to repair works. Upon inspection of fire booster, there has been an liquid oxygen leak that was discovered, and that requires repair work. So at present, we're waiting for a new launch date. Things are changing very rapidly, so perhaps even during this interview we'll find out something more. But officially, the information just before heading to the studio was that upon the finishing, once the repair works are finished, then we will find out the new launch date. Before that, it was due to weather conditions. The mission is being launched from Florida, from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, and weather there can be unpredictable. And of course, safety and security are paramount. Space is already an extreme environment, and everything that can ensure safety of the mission should take priority.
American actor Will Smith continues his tour of Poland, where he was recently greeted with a Polish folk rendition of his hit song Men in Black. Smith is currently touring Poland after attending a high-profile charity gala in Warsaw. Earlier, he met with former Solidarity leader and president of Poland, Lech Wałęsa, but it's safe to say he wasn't expecting to hear his 90s hit performed by a traditional Polish folk group.
It makes me notice how bad my grammar was in the song.
And on that artistic note, we wrap up Midday Report at 2 p.m. Many thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.